from champs to chumps. Last year they lifted the golden toilet seat. This year they've slid down the pan. They've had their share of injuries and ill fortune, but Melbourne knows all about the ups and downs of defending a title. This year they've come out firing, but they too need the points after stumbles across the ditch and in the west. The Jets are in the last chance saloon and they get the winning ticket against the Victory. Well, Melbourne are travel-weary, but is there any fight left in the Champions? 7 matches without a win. Another failure tonight would equal their worst ever run. Club owner Con Constantine this week issued a call to arms to the fans, but on the pitch his team needs willing legs and strong hearts tonight. Hello again and welcome to Energy Australia Stadium for Newcastle Jets against Melbourne Victory. The equation for the Jets is simple. They must win. Otherwise, the only significant date left in their diary will be the draw for the Asian Champions League on January the 7th next year. Robbie Slater is my offsider at Energy Australia Stadium tonight.
Simon,
good to see you,
good
Robbie.
evening. Yes.
Now, Robbie, we must start today. We'll look ahead to the game very shortly, but we have to talk about the big news today, and that's the fines and suspensions handed down by the FFA to 3 players found guilty of betting on football matches: Grant Brebner, Kevin Muscat and Craig Moore. What's your take on all
Well,
this?
firstly, it was a big surprise today, wasn't it? There was a press conference call by Ben Buckley at 2:30. There was a lot of rumours flying about, and then it came out that it was about betting. I think the FFA and Ben Buckley have done exactly the right thing. I don't think it's a massive deal in respect to the amounts involved, but it sends out a clear message that the FFA aren't going to put up with it at any level. And really, 3 very high-profile players in Kevin Muscat, Craig Moore, former Socceroos, current Socceroo Craig Moore, and Grant Brebner as well. So I think, the seriousness of it meant that the FFA had to take a strong stance, and they certainly have done that.
OK, let's hear that official statement read out at that press conference earlier today in Sydney by the FFA CEO, Ben Buckley.
Today I have to announce that Melbourne Victory players Kevin Muscat and Grant Brebner and Queensland Roar player Craig Moore have been sanctioned under the FFA Code of Conduct. The sanctions relate to bets placed by Muscat, Brebner and Moore on matches played by Hyundai A-League teams after we received notification from Betfair in recent weeks. Kevin Muscat placed 1 bet incurring a loss of $100 on the outcome of 1 match, and I stress not involving Melbourne Victory. Craig Moore placed 2 bets, winning a total of $72 on the outcome of 2 matches not involving Queensland Roar. Grant Brebner placed 1 bet, incurring a loss of $399 on the outcome of 1 match not involving Melbourne Victory. Grant Brebner also placed 1 bet to win $4.21 on a draw or Chonburi Victory, and 1 bet to win a total of $540 on the goal margin in a match played by Melbourne Victory against Chonburi in Thailand. Kevin Muscat and Craig Moore have been fined $5,000 each, with $2,000 of the amount suspended pending any further offence. Grant Brebner has also received a $5,000 fine, with $2,000 suspended pending a further offence in respect of the bet made on the match not involving Melbourne Victory. For the bets involving Melbourne Victory, Brebner has been sanctioned for bringing the game into disrepute and suspended from playing for 4 matches. He must serve 2 matches of this suspension.
Yeah, they're tough sanctions handed down by the FFA, but Robbie, as you said, the players know the rules. It's clearly there. Article 15 of the FIFA Ethics Code prevents players, officials or player agents from betting on games. And FIFA, in fact, the world governing body, only last year actually set up a system called the Early Warning System, a company called GmbH, founded in Switzerland, specifically to look into the habits of players and whether they were trying to bend these rules.
Well, look, there's always been I wouldn't say a betting culture, but maybe it is in football. I saw it in England, less so on the continent. But it has been banned, as you just mentioned, the Article 15. But I think a lot of players don't know it. And speaking to Kevin Muscat, he certainly didn't know about this rule. So in that case, that's no excuse. But certainly with what the FFA have done now, everybody is going to know about it. But it's just been another headache, one he could have done without for Ernie Merrick.
Yep, sure is. It's meant that his preparations for tonight's games have been made that little bit tougher. Well, obviously this could have serious repercussions for the rest of football, certainly here in Australia. Here's Ben Buckley again.
Actions like these don't help the reputation of the game. They're serious. We can't take them lightly. And I guess they do, to some degree, put into light that we have a job to do to educate all the players in the competition, whether they're rookies, whether they're second-year players, or they've been around for 10 to 12 years, that they have very strict obligations under the Code of Conduct.
Yep, if the players didn't know the rules before, they certainly know them now. And Robbie,
sure.
You'd imagine it's possible that there might be one or two other players who are nervously looking over their shoulders after today's announcement.
Well, just on that point, Simon, I think it's good to know that Betfair were actually the ones that notified the FFA of these players betting. So, look, we don't know if anyone else has done. All we know that is in the future it's not going to happen. And one thing you should remember, and people should remember, that these guys are role models. So although people and adults are allowed to have a bet if they want to, it's certainly not something that I think that is good for kids to be seeing, that their star players, their heroes, are placing bets on Hyundai A-League matches. That's just my personal opinion.
Absolutely. Maybe they should stick to the horses in future. Anyway, that was today's announcement. Big news, of course, across the world of football in Australia. I'm sure we've not heard the last of it, and at least the three players concerned have shown their contrition today. All right, let's move on and talk about tonight's game, because it's a big one for both teams. Newcastle Jets, of course, are bottom of the table. Melbourne Victory looking to get back to winning ways. Let's get some team news and a word on the conditions from our pitchside reporter tonight, who is Mel McLaughlin. Evening, Mel.
Good evening, Simon. Good evening, Robbie. I hope you'll be able to hear me, because Santa was singing behind me a short time ago. All right, it's been a beautiful day in Newcastle, or earlier anyway. There was plenty of sunshine, but as you can see, there's plenty of grey clouds hovering around the stadium at the moment. I just got a bit of a weather update, and we're told the rain is expected to stay away, so hopefully that'll be the case for the full 90 minutes. As for the pitch, I had a bit of a kick around with David Lowe, who we'll speak with in a moment, and the surface is a little bit sticky. It has been pretty humid, so expect that tonight, but of course it's looking pretty good as usual at Energy Australia Stadium. Let's get into the team lineups now, starting with the home side, of course. They've had to make some forced changes, two of them, in fact, same old story, with the departure of James Holland and, of course, the red card to Job Wheelhouse. In their places, Song returns from injury, while Marko Jezic will start. And perhaps ominously, his first starting debut was at this stadium against Melbourne, and he scored the winner in the 86th minute. Sean Rooney is on the bench again. He's expected to perhaps get a little more game time tonight. Well, as for the visitors, there are four changes to the side that took on Perth. Carlos Hernandez, Nick Ward, Evan Berger and Archie Thompson all returned. Thompson straight back into the starting 11 after sitting on the bench for 90 minutes a fortnight ago. He's recovered from that knee soreness. Nate Fabiano drops to the bench for the Thompson, Danny Allsop strike pairing, and Grant Brebner, as mentioned, he drops out altogether. Well, it's the third game in 13 days for Newcastle Jets, and it is the first in 14 days for the Melbourne Victory. We know the Newcastle Jets have a good record against Melbourne, and Melbourne's definitely wary. As for the Jets, I'm told the emphasis this week has been a lot on surface, a lot of long balls, lots of crosses in from the sidelines, getting that service to Joel Griffiths in training, until the fittest players apparently were quite exhausted. So they want this one very badly, bottom of the ladder or not, so expect an exciting one.
We sure hope so. Thanks very much indeed, Mel. We'll hear from you a little bit later on. So 4 changes made by Melbourne, 2 by the Jets. It's said by Ernie Merrick, or at least that's what he's told us, Robbie, that it's going to be a straight 4-4-2, but you think they might play a dime in Melbourne? Well,
he has got Lopez down as going to play on the left, Hernandez and Selesky in the middle with Ward on the right. I've got a funny feeling Ernie does like to throw us a few curved balls, and I've got a feeling that Lopez will probably sit at the base of a diamond with Hernandez at the top, Selesky slightly to the left-hand side and Ward to the right-hand side. It'll be a fairly narrow diamond, not really a natural wide player amongst them. With Thompson, of course, also, that strike pairing that we're well used to. Not surprising that there has been 4 changes. Of course, Brebner is a forced one. But, losses to both Wellington and Perth is certainly not the recipe that Melbourne need if they're to take out the minor premiership. That's what they want.
All right. Thanks very much, Robbie, for the moment. We're off to a quick break, and we'll take you there with the latest in our series, Say What. This week, it's the Jets pairing of Matt Thompson and Noel Spencer. See you soon.
Let me hear you say what? Hey now. Yes. Today's letter is the letter W. An A-League player.
Julio. Julio. Wolfendorf. What's his name?
A car.
A wagon.
An actor.
Wesley Snipes.
A vegetable.
Pass.
A fruit.
Watermelon.
A movie.
Waterboy. Waterboy.
A song.
That's all I've got, man.
A football club.
Wollongong Wolves.
A city.
Wellington.
An animal.
Wombat.
A girl's name.
Winona Ryder. Winona. Oh, that was tough, man.
Scores once again against Queensland Roar, and once again it's looking good for the Jets here in Brisbane.
Yes, welcome back. Joel Griffiths showing the beautiful deftness of touch against Queensland Roar last weekend to put the Jets one up. But, Robbie, it didn't go Newcastle's way again. But they need another big performance from their talisman up front tonight.
Well, they do. And, look, I think Joel would be the first to admit that the season hasn't gone as well as he would have liked. It's very hard sometimes when you have a season like he did last year. Of course, he swept all before him to back that up. And I must say that he hasn't had a lot of help. I don't think the service has been great to him. Interesting comments from Gary Van Egmond today that he's looking for more from Song, particularly in the goals department. And, at this stage of the season, Simon, the table doesn't lie. Newcastle are bottom for a reason. They just haven't been good enough, and they certainly haven't scored enough goals.
Yeah, Joel is their leading scorer again with 6, but there's not been too many contributions elsewhere. Tarek Elrich is second top scorer with 2. Let's have another look at that goal against Queensland, Robbie, courtesy of our virtual replay, which proved that Joel Griffiths was in fact onside.
This was good fun doing this on Fox FC because we had a lot of emails saying that this was offside, but you can see there from the aerial shot that he was clearly onside. It was a beautifully weighted pass from Wheelhouse. Of course, there is a question mark why Liam Reddy came out to there, but it was he made the decision for Joel Griffiths, and he certainly finished it off very well. And you look at that ball from Wheelhouse, and he'll be missed today. Of course, he is out suspended.
Sure will do. Great finish, though, by Joel Griffiths. Let's hear from the great man himself. He's talking with Mel.
Joel, no James Holland, and of course Joe Wheelhouse is out for this week, so there are more changes, stranger to that. Are you guys still confident? Do you still have the belief you can do the job?
Yeah, I think we do. It's obviously losing players like that is going to be difficult, but it gives another couple of guys a chance to impress, and going into the next couple of games, is very important. Obviously, one for credibility, and 2, we've got to prepare for the Asian Champions League. So I've got more than enough belief that the players that will come in and fill the void will obviously do the job.
Just speaking of that, we know how young a lot of the side is. Of course, Marko Jezic came on and did the job, scored the winner against Melbourne at this stadium earlier this season. What's your assessment of how these guys are coming together?
There's no hiding the fact that we do have a young team, and I hope Marko can do it again tonight. But if we keep developing these young players, the hardest part is to actually keep them. If we can keep them, then obviously we're going to be a force to be reckoned with in a couple of years. But at this stage, they're only young, and they obviously learn from their mistakes, and hopefully they mature as footballers.
Thanks, Joel.
Thank you very much.
Joel Griffiths with Mel McLaughlin. The good thing for the Jets in what's been a very disappointing season, Robbie, is that Joel Griffiths at least seems as though he will be here next season.
He seems very well settled, doesn't he? And of course he signed a 3-year deal as the marquee man starting from this year. This is after the failure of the Spider-Man, Edmundo Zura, who's already left. And look, here's an important factor in keeping those kids he's talking about. They got some wonderful talent. Nadovsky, who's out for the season, of course, but Jessic, Kantorowski, just to name those ones. Sean Rooney on the bench. So the future is bright if they can keep those players. Hopefully they can. And with Joel Griffiths staying and being settled, that's certainly going to help to keep those younger players.
All right, the Jets will be looking to Joel Griffiths to provide some goals perhaps tonight. Melbourne Victory, for their part, will be looking to their leading scorer, Danny Alsop. He again now is talking with Mel.
Danny, you had a 2-week break. How important was that given the slip-ups in the few weeks before that?
Yeah, we probably would have preferred a game, really. It would have made it a bit easier. You got to, only a week to wait to get back into it. But, we're looking forward to the 90 minutes now, to make amends and set ourselves up for the rest of the season.
How do you explain those results against Perth and Wellington? Do you think there's been, at times, a little bit of a struggle for consistency?
No, I think we just, we got beaten by a better side on the day, really. We didn't perform as well as what we wanted, and the teams that beat us played well and deserved the points. They got the results, so, it's up to us to get on with it and bounce back for this game. We've got a good, a lot of home games in the run-in.
Now, the Jets have a pretty good record against you, but Ernie Merrick has kind of said he wants to just worry about you guys, no video footage. Did you enjoy that approach this fortnight?
I suppose it was a bit of a change for us, but when you're a player, you just get on with it. You've got another game to approach, and hopefully we get a good result today.
Thanks, Danny.
All right, thanks, Mel.
Danny Alsop talking to Mel McLaughlin. There are Melbourne sitting pretty in second spot. Of course, they could go top tonight with a draw or a victory. The Jets, well, they simply must win. But it is looking good for Melbourne. 5 out of their last 6 games are, of course, at home. If you are just tuning in, then I can tell you that earlier on today, Wellington Phoenix defeated the Central Coast Mariners by 1-0. The goal scorer, who else but Shane Smeltz? We're off for a quick break. It's a big night tonight for both teams, and especially for Kevin Muscat. He's had a tough day at the office with all this off-field stuff going on, but mental resolve is one of his biggest strengths. We'll see if it performs tonight. See you soon.
Stands between Edmundo Zura and his first goal in the Hyundai A-League. And he's hit the post. He's off. Archie Thompson's off.
It's great red for the centre.
Song. Excellent work by Thwaites and Marco. Yes, Edge! He's done it! A goal on his starting debut.
Yes, a round 8 victory for the Newcastle Jets over Melbourne Victory earlier on in the season. That, of course, was the Jets' last win. Can they do so again tonight? Kickoff not far away. One man who will certainly hope so is former Socceroo and current Newcastle Herald writer David Lowe, who's now talking with Mel McLaughlin. Mel.
Yeah, thanks very much, Simon. Yeah, Lowe joins me on the sideline once again. Welcome. Now, we definitely saw a lot of drama last time, as Simon mentioned. Where do you think the key matchup will be tonight?
Well, Mel, I think definitely Jade North versus Archie Thompson is absolutely critical to the game. They've had a few good battles here. You can't expect Jade North to win all the time, but he does have the physical makeup to make it a hard contest for Archie Thompson with his pace, similar sort of build, and I expect the winner of that game to go along, that little matchup to go a long way towards winning the game tonight.
All right. Well, what about Newcastle Jets themselves? They haven't had too many positives at the moment, but of course a big positive, as plenty of people have been talking about, is the youth that's coming through and really impressing. Is there a standout for you?
Well, absolutely. I think it's been a pretty lean season for the Jets, but Ben Kantorowski, he's filled in 3 or 4 positions. He's done a terrific job in midfield at right full-back. He's back in midfield again this week with Tarek Elric going to right full-back. At 16, 17 years of age, he's had a fantastic season and looks a real prospect.
All right, we know Newcastle Jets have had the wood over Melbourne in recent times. Of course, it's a different story the way the Jets season has been going. Which way do you see this is going to go tonight?
Well, I think it's very important that Melbourne match up in midfield against Newcastle. I think last time they played here, Newcastle overran them in midfield a bit. Melbourne weren't sure whether to push a full-back in, and I think Ernie Merrick actually made a change at half-time. So I think whether Melbourne can compete efficiently in midfield is critical to the game. I think Newcastle are a real good chance of winning with Song back in the side, a little bit more creativity.
All right, thanks, Lowy. We'll check in again at half-time.
Good on you guys. Thanks very much. We hope you enjoy the game. Robbie, just time for some of your final thoughts before we head off to our final break before kick-off. As Lowy alluded to there, two big holes for the Jets to fill in midfield. Holland, of course, overseas. Ben Kantarowski coming in. Song as well. Joe Wheelhouse suspended. But are the Jets perhaps in a way tonight playing without any pressure? I mean, they're 4 points adrift at the bottom of the league. They've got nothing to lose, have they?
Well, look, there's still pride because they are the defending champions, but I think to a certain point you are right. I think, as a player, you do look at tables and you know where you are, and they are situated in a very bad spot in respect to the semi-finals. And I think I agree with Lowy. I think they're a good chance tonight because if you look at what they've lost but what they've gained, I think Kantarowski, as Lowy said, has been a real revelation in a number of positions. He can fill in that midfield area. Got a lot of experience with Adam Griffiths, and I prefer Milligan at the back. And I think Milligan and North, and we talked about North and Archie Thompson, but Allsop is also very, very pacey. Berger likes to get forward as well for Melbourne from the left-back position. Watch Joel Griffiths as a key as well. He loves that area, the inside right-hand channel. So as Berger pushes forward or pushes too far forward, Joel Griffiths could get a lot of space. I think it's an interesting game. On the face of it, looking at the table, it looks like Melbourne for sure. But Newcastle have a good record against Melbourne, and they've got a very, very good side out.
OK, thanks very much, Robbie. Of course, Ernie Merrick has been changing the psychology for his team this week. No DVDs played of the Newcastle Jets' most recent game. He said he wanted to concentrate on his team's performance, and he's put a bit of pressure on them tonight as well by saying in the local press that his side will make the top four. Can the victory put today's off-field distractions behind them and add to the Jets' woes? Or will Newcastle's good home record against Ernie Merrick's team continue and keep their season alive? Find out as the Jets take on the victory. It's coming up next. Round 16 of the Hyundai A-League. Newcastle Jets, the team with the worst home form in the competition, up against a travel-weary Melbourne Victory side in desperate need of putting their season back on track after 2 defeats. There's a real air of desperation around Energy Australia Stadium. It could be a very interesting night in the Hunter. Let's check on the team news. Newcastle making a couple of changes. No Joe Wheelhouse or James Holland, of course. Ante Kovic is between the posts as usual. Then across the back line, Tarek Elridge shifts back to the right fullback position. In the centre, it's Jade North, the captain, and alongside him, Mark Milligan. Adam DePuzzo continues at left fullback, not his natural position, of course. The two screening midfielders, young Ben Kantarowski and the more experienced Adam Griffiths. Then a bank of three. The Korean Song Jin-hyung returns on the right. Matt Thompson, who's played several positions this season, plays in behind. Marko Jesic, who scored the winner in round 8 against Melbourne, is on the left. And Joel Griffiths is at the pointy end of the attack. It's the usual 4-2-3-1 shape for Gary Van Egmont's team. Now Melbourne Victory are going 4-4-2 with Michael Theoklitos in goal. Across the back line, it's Michael Thwaite wearing 3. And in the centre, after a very tricky day off the park, it's the skipper Kevin Muscat, and alongside him his regular partner Rodrigo Vargas. Evan Berger is one of 4 changes. He comes in for Matthew Kemp at left back. Into midfield, Nick Ward gets his first start of the campaign. In the centre, it's Billy Selesky and the Costa Rican Carlos Hernandez, and his compatriot Jose Luis Lopez will start on the left. The strike force up front is the usual 2, Danny Allsop, the top scorer with 7, and his partner Archie Thompson. Well, the Jets have been dogged by transfer speculation, injuries, suspension and just some plain bad luck, but there's no room for excuses tonight. The Jets simply must deliver. And another week, as we've mentioned, brings more headaches for Gary Van Egmond. No Joe Wheelhouse or James Holland, who's gone to Holland to trial with Alkmaar. If ever the Jets needed their talismanic striker to perform, it's tonight. Can Joel Griffiths lead from the front for Newcastle? Find out very shortly. Well, the Newcastle supporters clearly think the league table is upside down. Their team has the chance to start to put that correct tonight on what is a very cool and dry evening in the Hunter. But will the Jets wilt in the final stages as they've done on so many occasions this season? Quick check on the two subs benches. Justin Passfield is the reserve stopper for the Jets. Alongside him, Kaz Patafta, Sean Ontong and another youngster, Sean Rooney. The Melbourne Victory bench is a little more experienced. Young keeper Mitch Langerak is by far the most inexperienced member of the four. Alongside him, Matthew Kemp, Nay Fabiano is perhaps a bit unlucky to lose his starting spot, and Tom Pondoliak. Kevin Muscat, I'm sure, has put the day's trials and tribulations out of his mind. He's back doing what he does best, and that is leading from the front. Referee tonight, Craig Zeta, in charge of his 21st A-League match. And in 6 appointments this season, he's issued just 16 yellow cards and as yet not a single red.
Your team leads you, Newcastle. Let's go, Newcastle!
Newcastle Jets' day of reckoning is underway. Doomsday or New Dawn? We're about to find out. Which way do you see this one going, Robbie Slater?
Well, if you look at the table, it looks pretty clear-cut, but Newcastle got a very, very good side out. We talked about the players missing, but Kantarovski's proved to be very, very versatile. He's in there in the midfield with Adam Griffiths and Song. Interesting one. It'll give them a bit more creativity. I'm interested to see how that Melbourne midfield lines up. Saying they were going to play flat across there. Really can't see that with the players he's got. In fact, it looks like Zaleski's definitely in the middle, but looks more like a diamond to me, with Hernandez floating around behind Thompson and Danny Allsop.
Well, just 2 wins all season for the Newcastle Jets. Their last one, of course, was against Melbourne at this venue back in round 8, where Marko Jesic marked his debut with a wonderful winner late on. What they would give for a repeat. It was a handball, was it, against Song? Well, Craig Zeta was blindside. Gave him the benefit of the doubt. And that one was definitely out of play.
Well, both these sides come into this game not in great form. Melbourne were expected to pick up maybe maximum points against Wellington and Perth. They dropped all of their points. And Newcastle are 7 games without a win. In fact, their last game coming in round 8 against Melbourne, as you just mentioned, Simon, Jesic with the winner in that match.
Now, that was a mistake. And very nearly cost the Newcastle Jets. Mark Milligan went to sleep there.
He did, and it was a real half chance for Archie Thompson. Had to take it early, and he did, but he got too much on it. Kovic was well off his line, just completely miscontrolled by Mark Milligan. Not sure who he was trying to cushion that one down to. And Archie Thompson might feel that he might have done better there.
Does that count as the first shot from Mark Milligan? For Newcastle, anyway.
Look, I did say in the pre-game show that I do prefer Mark Milligan at the back rather than in midfield. It certainly wasn't the greatest of starts from him.
Now it's broken, has it, for Joel Griffiths, but Theoklitos was smartly to the edge of the penalty box. Gary Van Egmond is looking for goals from other areas apart from Joel Griffiths. He can't score every week. In particular, he's pointed the finger, the Jets coach at Song Jin-hyung. Said a lot of his work off the ball is superb, but he needs to add goals to his game. Somebody needs to for the Jets.
He's a real creative player. Gary Van Egmond has asked him to step up and get into more goal-scoring opportunities. He's playing wide on the right. Newcastle lining up with a 4-2-3-1. Song, there he is, on the right-hand side. Matt Thompson behind Joel Griffiths. And Yesic out on the left-hand side.
Here's Michael Thwaite for Melbourne on the right-hand side. Far too much on that for Carlos Hernandez. Michael Thwaite, whose future is still the subject of speculation. Gold Coast United, rumoured to be his next stop. He's been adamant in saying that no decision has yet been reached. That was Thwaite with the header. Picked up in midfield by Kantarovski. Spotted Song Jin-hyung. Pass was overhit. Here is Lopez, who has started on that left side. To his countryman Hernandez. Thompson.
Yeah, I thought it might have been Archie Thompson. He dropped into that hole there as Danny Allsop stayed wider. But if you look at Lopez playing on the left-hand side now, look, he's a central midfielder. I thought maybe Zaleski might have started out there.
Now Thwaite's ball wasn't dealt with by Jade North, and Danny Allsop didn't really get hold of the chance.
Oh, that's two half chances now to Melbourne. This one to Danny Allsop. Didn't get a hold of his shot. The ball not dealt with. Michael Thwaite with the cross. It's not a good one. And that's just sloppy defending from Jade North, and very lucky not to be punished. We're talking about Lopez on that left-hand side. It'll be important for Melbourne when he gets the chance to stay wide, although he is going to want to tuck in. He can do that afterwards when the ball's on the right-hand side. But as the ball comes across the left, I think it is important that he tries to hug that touchline.
Play on, says Craig Zeta. Jets were appealing for potential handball against Danny Allsop. Lopez towards, but that's well read by Jade North, who can carry it forward towards halfway, where he finds Joel Griffiths. North had continued the run intelligently. Newcastle's passing at the moment is just a little bit off. They've made, perhaps more crucially, two defensive mistakes. They can't keep doing that against the team that lies second in the table. Sooner or later, surely they'll get punished. Thompson. Now Song in space. Yesic and Joel Griffiths further forward. Thompson joining in on the right. Putso is there on the left. Song went down the middle.
That was the wrong option from Song. He had Matt Thompson, who played him in originally, made an overlapping run. Would have been better playing him in.
Now that's a good ball from Archie Thompson to find Hernandez. That's a good challenge too by Mark Milligan.
Was a good play from Hernandez. Checked back inside. He had Danny Allsop to his left.
Super tackle though by Mark Milligan. Give him credit. We gave him some stick for the earlier error. That's a foul by Adam Griffiths on Lopez. Jets 7 without a win. If they lose or draw tonight, that will equal their worst ever run. It was set under Nick Theodorakopoulos, and he paid the price after 8 matches without a win. Ironically enough, the last of which was against Melbourne Victory. 2-0 home defeat. I don't think Gary Van Egmond is under that sort of pressure. And he, of course, does have a championship to point to in the bag from last season. There's no doubt about it that it's been a very disappointing campaign.
It is, but there is one bright spot, I guess. If you take it that maybe their semi-final push is going to be a little bit too much, maybe beyond them, but they do have the Asian Champions League to look forward to.
That's a good ball by Thompson, brought down by Ward. Newcastle don't adequately clear their lines, and here's Archie Thompson. 1-2 with Danny Alsop. It's fallen for Thompson, who's offside, neatly put away by the Melbourne number 10. But clearly it strayed a metre or two offside.
What was that neat little play? It was trying to play. Well, he tried to play the 1-2. It ricocheted, and as you can see there, I think he's level. I think he's onside.
I think I agree with you.
There's no doubt about the finish. Once again, referee's assistant under the spotlight. And the initial 1-2 was blocked, and then Alsop immediately played it forward. There's the block. And there's Alsop playing it again. The ball's already left there. He's level. He should be, that goal should have stood.
Well, yet another talking point with regards to the offside rule. It's very tough for referees' assistants, there's no question of that. That's a free kick for the Jets, and Craig Zeta will just have a word or two with Jose Luis Lopez. Maybe it is time for the technology, Robbie.
Now, Simon, I thought you were against it. I'm for it. Another perfect example. We saw one with Sydney last week on the Central Coast. When a penalty kick was awarded, it was then not given because offside. It was on Shannon Cole, and it was proven that Shannon Cole wasn't offside. We've had quite a few this season.
Jade North rather wasting the free kick. Incheon United, of course, his next destination. North Queensland Fury, given him their blessing for him to go to the K-League. Is that a good move for him, Robbie?
I think it's a good move also for North Queensland, and that's not to say that Jade North wasn't a good signing. I just don't think, as a marquee, something that was going to excite the fans up there. He's a very good player, current Socceroo, but for him moving to Incheon, ball tried to play through by Hernandez. Well, he's wanted to go overseas. I'm not sure it's the destination that he wanted in the beginning.
Now Jesic, only partially past Muscat, drops for Song, and it's put behind by Nicky Ward with Matt Thompson lurking around the penalty spot.
Well, that was a real waste. The quick counter-attack was on, and the chance was gone with Jesic. They got in each other's way. Here's Jesic. They should have played that ball to Song earlier, before the challenge of Kevin Muscat. And Joel Griffiths found himself on the outside of Song, where really he needed to be in the box.
Song to take the first corner of the game after 11 and a bit minutes. Came off Jesic's head, and it's ping-pong inside the Melbourne Victory penalty box. Jets retain the ball through Milligan. Thompson was up against two.
Well, certainly good tempo to this opening period. Melbourne have had the best chances. And really should have had a goal. Melbourne 60% possession.
Andy Merrick, who was very confident in his belief in the Melbourne press this week that his side is going to make the finals. And with 5 of their last 6 at home, you can understand that. As for the Jets, well, if they're going to maintain their proud record of being in every final series, they've got a lot of work to do. 10 points adrift of the playoff spots as it stands. Only 6 games left of the regular season. Really, if you think back to that round 3 thrashing they took, Robbie, against Melbourne at Telstra Dome, 5-0. Never really recovered from that, did they, the Jets? Now, a snapshot by Danny Allsop. Out of nothing, really, on the volley, not too far away.
No, he took it really quickly on the volley, and Kovic was rooted to his spot. Ball comes over. It's not a great header from Jade North. Instant strike from Danny Allsop, and he knows how close that was. Across the keeper, Kovic was stranded, and if it was on target, Danny Allsop would have opened the scoring. So Melbourne clearly on top. It's really their 4th chance if you include the disallowed goal. And really, Newcastle just not dealing with second balls. Anything that drops at the moment, it's Melbourne picking it up. If you talk about that 5-0, well, it was a thrashing, wasn't it? The Telstra Dome, Simon, as you were saying, in round 3. They didn't recover until round 8, really. And had a feeling that maybe their season was about to kick off when they beat Melbourne here in round 8 by the 0-0 from Jesic. It really was a false dawn, and 7 games since, 5 losses, 2 draws. It's been a sorry season so far for Newcastle.
Particularly at home, which was such a fortress for them last time around. Taken just 7 points out of 21 and scored just 7 goals. Even Queensland Roar have got a better home record than that. No disrespect to them.
I think they got an equal amount of points.
That's right.
But fortunately for Newcastle, they don't have Queensland's away record.
Is Adam Depuzo. Jesic. Not a bad ball in. Fantastic header. Fantastic goal by Matty Thompson. Newcastle against the run of play. What a bullet header from Matt Thompson.
Well, Gary Van Egmond said he wanted goals from other players, and he gets one from Matt Thompson, and it's pure quality. Depuzo here lays it out to Jesic. He comes back onto his right foot, whips it in. It's flat. What about that? The pace is on the cross, so he just redirects it, and it flashes past Theoklitos. And that's a wonderful goal from the Newcastle Jets.
Just Matt Thompson's 2nd of the season. And it was, you have to say, against the run of play, but the Jets won't care about that. They'll perhaps feel they're due a bit of luck. They've got a fantastic start. Matt Thompson's 9th goal in the A-League. They might have a second here. It's ricocheted behind. They'll get a corner. Ben Kantarovski with the effort.
There comes, takes it on the half volley with his left foot. The block was from Michael Thwaite. Had to take it quickly. There's Matt Thompson. Bullet header. But the pace was on the cross. And he made a late run into the box. He was unchallenged.
Song's corner. Oh, and Michael Theoklitos was an absolute full stretch to keep that out. In fact, that's a very, very good piece of goalkeeping. Almost had to be a contortionist there, Theoklitos. Melbourne under the pump here, and again Theoklitos is stretching. Just about got something on it.
Not sure if he even got a glove to that one. Great work from Matt Thompson. This is the save from Theoklitos. He did have Hernandez just behind him. Look at this for a cross from Matt Thompson. Maybe just didn't cut it back as much as he would have liked, but floating it to the back post, and all of a sudden Newcastle with the momentum.
Well, to be fair, the first one was a good stop. The second one was a bit of a flap, wasn't it, from Theoklitos? Maybe slightly flat-footed and out of position. And Melbourne, after dominating the opening exchanges, find themselves behind again.
They're ruffled, Melbourne. Selesky, that's a poor pass. Simple pass looking for Berger. Ready Vargas. There's Matt Thompson behind him. Here's the ball from Jesic. With pace and flat. And the pace was on that cross, and you see Thompson just directs it. And a flash past Theoklitos.
Nobody tracked the Newcastle Jets' run. Home team has another corner, this time courtesy of Michael Thwaite. Well, that's the beauty of football, isn't it? It doesn't matter how much you dominate the game, you can find yourselves behind. Newcastle leading the corner count too. Song's delivery. Punched by the goalkeeper. It's at least away from the danger zone. It's offsides against Adam Griffiths.
Yeah, but he didn't flag too quickly. Matt Thompson, Adam Griffiths wasn't offside. As the ball was played through, Thompson just let it go. He's come back for an offside position. Now, did he touch it? See the referee's assistant with the flag up. Matt Thompson saying that, well, I didn't touch it. Be fair to the referee's assistant, did go very, I think it went between his legs.
"20 minutes played at Energy Australia Stadium. The Jets fans have smiles on their faces, which hasn't happened too often this season. Michael Thwaite's won a corner, though, for Melbourne. They do have a good record against the Victory, of course. The Jets, Melbourne have only ever won here once. It was back in the second season of the A-League. Victory just 3 wins in the 11 meetings between the two sides. See what they can do with this corner, to be taken by Evan Berger. Vargas leaps. Thompson lays it back. Muscat back into the danger zone. Thompson was there. Muscat again. Breaks off the thigh of Nicky Ward into the path of Jade North, who's popping up here almost as a right winger. Thompson in space. Oh, not a great pass by Jade North. Well, Danny Alsop and Michael Thwaite having a bit of a frank exchange of views. Thwaite went left to try and find Archie Thompson. There's the national coach, Pim Verbeek. Alongside him, John Boltby, the high-performance manager, and Mario van der Ende, the referee's instructor. That's good scrapping by Thompson, and now Joel Griffiths, who is brought down unceremoniously. That will be a yellow card for Evan Berger.
Good work from Newcastle, good pressing and good pace from Joel Griffiths. I think there was 3 Melbourne players tracking him there, and he was just too quick for them. And that was a very simple decision. The yellow card on Berger. Here they just scrap away. Griffiths burst of speed, took him away from the pack. Berger just clearly brings him down.
Evan Berger's 4th yellow card of the campaign puts him within 1 more of a 1-game suspension. It's with the set piece. It's Song who drives it low. Joel Griffiths helps it back into the box. Vargas with a towering header. Now Nicky Ward for Melbourne.
Well, that was a missed kick. Nicky Ward finding it difficult to get into the game.
First start of the season, of course. All his other appearances off the bench. Injuries haven't helped Nicky Ward, but not really fulfil that early promise that he showed when joining Melbourne. This is Joel Griffiths as Newcastle go in search of a second goal. It's a great challenge by the Jets' number 9. Capuzzo.
Oh, he had Jesic outside him to Capuzzo. That's what he did for the goal, gave it to him. It's a difficult place to cross the ball from there. Now you've got to feed your wide man. Jesic had pulled off. He's hugging the touchline.
Kevin Muscat going route 1, and he's found Danny Allsop. Good tussle with Mark Milligan. Does work ever so hard on behalf of the team, doesn't he, Danny Allsop? It's not just all about goals for him. There's the possession of the last 5 minutes. The Jets 61%. Goals really giving them a new lease of life. You can almost sense the confidence flooding back through the veins of the Jets players. 2 young guns going toe-to-toe, Tarek Elrich and Evan Berger.
And Tarek Elrich in a season that till this point has been disappointing, has been one of the success stories for Newcastle. Really has grown this season for me. The feature of their season has been his play on the right-hand side. He's got a great engine, which you need to have in that position. He's always willing to get forward. And he's given quite a bit of quality from that right-hand side. Always available. Here he is again.
There's Song outside him. Goes centrally. That's not the greatest thing to do, just on the edge of your own box by Nicky Ward, and it's poked just wide by Joel Griffiths. What was Nicky Ward doing there? A back heel on the edge of your own 18-yard box.
Well, so close to the second goal. What about the improvisation from Joel Griffiths? He didn't have time to pull the trigger properly, so he just toe pokes it. And Nicky Ward, that's just a bad decision. And it's just a ricochet from Thompson. Look at this. Hasn't got time for any sort of back lift, and it's just a toe poke. Theoklitos was beaten. And they're proving a really good combination in this match so far, Thompson and Joel Griffiths. In fact, at times they're interchanging. At times it's Thompson furthest forward, with Griffiths dropping in behind. And really, they haven't dealt with that. Not sure whether a midfielder should pick up Thompson or Griffiths in that position when they drop off. Or one of the centre halves. Does he push forward and pick up?
Second.
This is Lopez finding Zaleski. Thwaite to Thompson. Again, well read by Mark Milligan, who's recovered well from that early error.
Good football as well. Keep possession, transition from back to front, excellent.
Song. Well, again, he had Tarek Elrich outside him. Opted to go centrally and drive for goal. This is Elrich. Milligan. Danny Allsop defending from the front. Milligan back to his goalkeeper, Ante Kovic, who's still to commit to a new contract with the Jets. So much so that Newcastle have been trialling Peter Zoyce this week. Goalkeeper who played in Holland for a few seasons. Maybe put a bit of pressure on Kovic to make up his mind. Reported interest from Asia. This is Thompson. That's a great ball into Hernandez, and he just didn't make a clean connection, the Costa Rican.
No, he miskicked it. Difficult one, though. It's nearly on the edge of the 6-yard box. Clever play from Thompson. Thwaite plays him in. Plays it first time. Low, just in front of Hernandez, but you see his angle is difficult. And as he takes his eye off it, it just comes off the outside of his boot.
Griffiths header. Kept in play by Lopez. This is Song. Milligan looking for options. Joel Griffiths obliges, but there was nobody alongside him. This is Ward. Melbourne stung by that goal. Can they get back on terms? Ward's cross far too close to Kovic. Awkward bouncing ball for Michael Thwaite, and he got a little nudge in the back from Joel Griffiths. Kick for Melbourne as we approach the half-hour mark. Match that the victory began very well, very confidently. They've been pushed back. Taputsa. The 1-2 played between Lopez and the referee.
You see Lopez there, right next to Selesky and Hernandez. Not getting much ball on the left-hand side. He comes in and really that just really clogs up that middle of the park.
Now Nick Ward gives them some width. Great ball in, and Archie Thompson full stretch.
Well, he feel he should have scored. A real bit of quality from Nicky Ward, who's found it hard to get into the game, but he skips past the defender there, whips a great ball in behind the defence. And Archie Thompson, well, he just loses his bearings. Mark Milligan missed it at the first post. He got too much on it, just needed to glance that to the far post. Good work down the right-hand side from Nicky Ward.
Muscat taking the free kick early. Danny Alsop trying to use the body and hold off the defenders. Comes off Song. Lopez was the stud showing there. That's what Adam Griffiths was claiming. I thought he might have had a case. He's continuing the discussion, Adam Griffiths, and with Lopez. Thwaite. Lost his balance there, Michael Thwaite. Oh, he's done well to win it back. Nobody waiting in the penalty area.
Yeah, good persistence from Thwaite. Sort of slipped and lost possession, but fought back. Just couldn't produce a cross.
Now Thompson. Archie, that is, not the goal scorer.
Well, Archie was a goal scorer, but was ruled out for offside. Which he's not going to be happy about, or any Merrick when they see the replay.
Muscat. Now there's some space for Hernandez to drive into. Adam Griffiths.
That was just too
superb.
Quick. Yeah, too quick. Adam Griffiths hesitated. Hernandez had a little run from Alsop down the inside right-hand channel. don't have that much time.
Song dispossessed by Lopez. Evan Bergen, known as Pomper for his all-action style. He's done ever so well here. Real positive play by the youngster. Good tackle too, in fairness, by Tariq Elrich.
Something close to a foul though. Good run from Berger. That's what they need more of, Melbourne, with Lopez playing in that left-hand side. Now he will tuck in. It leaves a lot of space for Berger, but it's... Here he goes down the left-hand side. Both very, very quick. Elrich does get the ball. Good decision from the referee.
Lopez half held up by Kantarovski. Also trying to link up with Thompson. Brought clear by Tariq Elrich. Well, they only had two options. Matt Thompson had gone right, Joel Griffiths central. It's a good game of football, that's for sure. Also, plenty of chances at both ends. Now another corner.
Well, it's really an important season for Mark Milligan, isn't it? Playing in the centre of defence tonight, on loan to Newcastle Jets. A failed move overseas. We're reported that Manchester City were very, very close to signing him. Really broke into the Socceroos. He's now out of that, and it's a really important time in his career. The rest of this season and what happens after that, whether he stays on for the Asian Champions League.
Shanghai Shenhua interest as well, of course. That's a great header at the near post, and Kovic was getting half a touch on it. Eventually it's put behind for another corner. I think it was Danny Allsop with the initial header.
Well, it's a good delivery from the left foot. It's Danny Allsop with the header. Jesic was on the post. Allsop gets there first. Actually comes off Archie Thompson. Off Kovic first, onto Archie Thompson. Jesic was on the line on the back post. Would so easily have ricocheted off Archie Thompson into the net, that one.
10 minutes to the break. Melbourne finding their second wins. Variation on the corner.
That's a variation you could do without, really. Here's Zaleski. Mickey Ward peeling off for the short one. Here's the save. Allsop does well, gets in front of Milligan. Hand from Kovic. Hits Archie Thompson, and Adam Griffiths cleaning up.
Well, goes down as a save. It was certainly on target, which adds another to Ante Kovic's total. He's made the most stops of any keeper in the Hyundai A-League this season. Despite recording one or two blunders, uncharacteristic for him. That was a decent stop. That's a good ball too by Hernandez, perfectly weighted. Allsop has to wait for support to arrive. Ward in space, might drive for goal, and Milligan again. It's good defensive duty.
Well, he tries to shoot literally through Mark Milligan there. I thought he had pace, he had momentum. Should have really tried to go around Mark Milligan.
Mark Milligan, by the way, never on the winning side in 6 appearances for Sydney against Melbourne Victory. So he's got a big chance tonight with his team leading. Heavy touch from Archie Thompson. Ruled out, of course, last week, or 2 weeks ago as it is now, against Perth Glory. That knee trouble, and he was still in doubt this week. Wonder whether he is 100% fit. Whether Ernie Merrick thought it was just worth the gamble. finding Berger. Lopez to Hernandez. Thompson. A bit casual, but it's done the trick. Nicky Ward didn't look. I'll talk about a big season for Mark Milligan. Big year too for Nicky Ward. His career, which had such promise in that first season of the A-League at Perth Glory, led to an overseas stint with QPR and then Brighton. Needs to get a regular berth in the Melbourne starting 11. Here's Song, as Newcastle look to double their money. Elrich on the overlap, that'll be a goal kick.
Be a goal kick. That's poor play from Song. Played that one far too early. He's quick, Elrich, but oh, he ain't that quick. Coming up to 39th minute. Here we see Song on the ball. You see the run from Elrich, who really gives him no chance there. Might have even come inside there as they had Elrich's run well covered. It's been a good game, a good tempo to it, good intensity. Both sides had their moments in the match. Newcastle are the ones who've capitalised. Melbourne have had chances as well, and possession.
Yeah, it's certainly ebbed and flowed. 12 shots in the game so far. Melbourne had the first 3, Newcastle the next 5, and now Melbourne have had the last 4. So it's been end-to-end stuff. Now, Thompson scored the game's only goal thus far. Looking for Joel Griffiths. Cut out by Vargas. Picked up by Song. Just showed too much of it to Kevin Muscat.
He was a bit unlucky. He shaped the shoot. A good dummy, and then his next touch was just a little too heavy.
Now Ward for Melbourne. Mark Milligan, after that early blunder, has been terrific for Newcastle. Allsop drifting in field to find Thompson. There's Billy Selesky, who's apparently been taking some stick from his teammates about that infamous free kick against Perth Glory a couple of weeks ago, where he belted it into Rosette. Here's Thwaite. That's a good ball in, and Allsop climbed highest but couldn't get the direction.
He got up early enough. It was Jade North, I think, with him. Decent ball in from Michael Thwaite. The ball from Archie Thompson to him was a little bit too heavy, too much weight on it, but he does well, takes one touch, gets his head up. Not trying to pick anyone out, just hitting an area. And Danny Allsop, well, he might have done better there. Can't get over the ball to head it downwards, but he gets up early over North. Most of their joy has come down this right-hand side for Melbourne with Nicky Ward, and Michael Thwaite's made quite a few runs from the right fullback position. Usually expect it from someone like Berger rather than Thwaite, but Thwaite's been pretty good in the first half.
Puzzo turning away from trouble. Going long, looking for Joel Griffiths. Not really a target man, is he, Joel Griffiths? They've used that tactic once or twice.
No, but he works so hard. It's not only about the goals of Joel Griffiths, it's how hard he works and committed he is for the side.
Prefers the ball to feet, though. That's what I was trying to make.
Yeah, sometimes he does. He does like peeling off, particularly the inside right-hand channel. But he's capable of getting the ball into his feet and holding it up. I think he leads the line quite well. What has been, most critics have said, maybe a lean season for Joel Griffiths. Still got 6 goals.
Now quickly taken free kick, and Hernandez was onto it. Well cut out by Tariq Elrich. In fact, that's terrific work by the Jets, number 11.
Well, it might be terrific work, and it is, but what was Hernandez thinking? The ball broke to him a second time. Surely he wasn't shooting from that angle. Really, you just need to dink this one to the back post. Good ball from Kevin Muscat. They catch them sleeping a bit. I'm not sure what he's trying to do there. Maybe trying to go low and hard. It's the face of the box. Just stand that one up to the back post when there's bodies in there. Disappointing from Hernandez.
Yep, just put his size 10 right through the leather, didn't he? As Kevin Muscat has done there. Gary Van Egmond, Jets coach, trying to coax a bit more out of his charges. Ernie Merrick, as per usual, doesn't really wear his heart on his sleeve. Melbourne, of course, on the back of 2 defeats. Perth and Wellington. I've seen 1 or 2 people suggesting, Robbie, that Melbourne are perhaps a team that beats the best and doesn't beat the rest.
There's no doubt both those performances were very disappointing from Melbourne. The one in Perth where Archie Thompson...
Now Dapuzzo's ball in, and a free header again for Matt Thompson, who was climbing, looking for a second goal in the air.
And he's got up really well, Matt Thompson. Good ball in from Dapuzzo. His left-hand side. Really, the Melbourne defence should be dealing with this. He just gets in between the 2 defenders, between Berger. There's the ball floated in. Gets up nice and early in between Zaleski and Berger. Should really hit the target from there. Matt Thompson.
Now, Marko Jesic onside. 3 waiting in the middle. And there's the second goal for the Newcastle Jets, and it's a second goal again for Matt Thompson.
Well, they get a bit of luck. Jesic's cross wasn't good enough. But Melbourne make the mistake. And didn't he finish it well, Matt Thompson? He pounced. Low across the keeper. Gave Dioklitos no chance. They're getting down his left-hand side. Kevin Muscat struggling to get there. The cross is a poor one. Thwaite sticks a leg out. Zaleski slips. And Matt Thompson was the quickest to react. There's the slip from Zaleski. Still got a lot to do, Thompson. And didn't he do it well?
2 assists for Marko Jesic. Matt Thompson moves into double figures in the Hyundai A-League, his 10th goal. Newcastle Jets, as the half-time whistle blows, are almost home and hose. Well, it's been the tale of the 2 Thompsons at Energy Australia Stadium. Matt Thompson with 2 goals for Newcastle, but early on, Archie Thompson having a goal robbed out for Melbourne that really should have stood. And the victory staring down the barrel of what would be a 3rd straight defeat. At the break in the Hunter, it's the Newcastle Jets 2, Melbourne victory 0. Well, here's something that Newcastle Jets players haven't experienced very often this season. A happy dressing room at half-time. They lead Melbourne victory by 2-0. Matt Thompson has scored both, and all that after another Thompson, Archie, had a perfectly legitimate goal ruled out. The other half-time stats, Melbourne have had more of the ball. Newcastle have spent marginally more time in Melbourne's half than the other way around. The corners evenly split, the offsides too. 13 fouls in the game, 7 of those 8 committed by the Jets, committed by the 2 Griffiths brothers. And just the 1 yellow card issued by Craig Zatter. That went to Evan Berger of Melbourne victory. Let's have a look at all the first half highlights of what's been a very, very entertaining game. And here's that offside goal, Robbie Slater, which should not have been ruled out.
Yeah, 9th minute. Melbourne had a great opening to the game. A couple of half chances before this. Archie Thompson doesn't realise. He's actually putting his hand up. Sorry that I finished it. Worried about a yellow card. But when he sees it again, there's the ball leaving Allsop. He was level with Milligan. Milligan puts his arm up straight away. Does that decide the referee's assistant? It was clearly onside, and in fact you can see that they'd seen it on the big screen.
Well, Melbourne certainly dominated the first quarter of an hour. They should have been a goal to the good, and this was another half chance for Danny Allsop.
That was a snapshot from Danny Allsop. Not a great header out of defence from Jade North. Had to take it early, and he knows how close that was.
But, as is sometimes the case in football, the team that's on top doesn't score the opening goal, and this really gave the Jets huge amounts of confidence.
It's a great goal. For me, this will be one of the goals of the season from Matt Thompson. A great cross in from Yesic. He hits it flat, low and flat. The pace is on the cross, and you see Matt Thompson. He just directs that ball, and it flashes past Theocritus. Had no chance.
Yeah, Melbourne have struggled to pick up those runs of Matt Thompson from midfield. This was from a corner in the 18th minute. Michael Theocritus at full stretch.
Yeah, the flick on from the near post. He gets one hand to it. Wasn't sure what was behind him, and it was a nervy few moments. Well, more than that, 5 or 6 minutes. Great improvisation here from Joel Griffiths as Nick Ward tries a little back heel in completely the wrong area. Thompson with the ricochet. Didn't have time for a shot, so he just toe-pakes that through with Theocritus beaten.
Well, you've heard of the game of two halves. This was a half of 3/3, if you like, as Melbourne certainly came back into it. That was a great ball in from Nicky Ward.
Oh, Nicky Ward, who had a difficult first half. This was a bit of quality from him. It beats Milligan low and flat behind the defence. And Archie Thompson just needed to glance that one. He got too much on it. Moments later, it was Danny Allsop who wins the header at the near post, flicks it on. Kovic with the hand, comes off Archie Thompson, and away by Adam Griffiths.
But just as Melbourne were starting to find their way back into the game, Newcastle broke with half-time beckoning, and it was 2-0.
Well, it's a sloppy goal from Melbourne, right on the stroke of half-time. Well taken from Matt Thompson, but the cross wasn't a good one from Yesic. Michael Thwaites sort of throws a heel up, takes the pace off the ball. Selesky then slips, allows Matt Thompson to pounce. Still had a lot to do. Matt Thompson low across the keeper, and he gets his second.
The attack stats and what's been a very entertaining game. It's ebbed and flowed. Newcastle have had 7 shots on goal. Melbourne have had 9. 4 of those in total have been on target. And, well, you can see how Melbourne have built a lot of their attacks down that right-hand side, particularly through Nicky Ward on 8 occasions. Well, it's certainly not the Newcastle Jets' biggest home crowd of the season, but it's probably one of the happiest, at least at the moment. But, of course, the Jets do tend to concede late goals, so they won't be getting carried away just yet, the home faithful. Well, Matt Thompson's got a bit of history against Melbourne Victory. He scored the winner back in Season 1 at the old Olympic Park to give the Jets a 1-0 victory. He's got 2 tonight, so he's on a hat-trick. But the Jets, more importantly, lead by 2-0 and are on course for what would be only a 3rd victory of the season. He's played almost the Tim Cahill role tonight, arriving from late, Matt Thompson, and he's put the smiles back on the faces of the Jets supporters, and they've not had too much to cheer about this season. The Melbourne fans looking a little glummer. Now, talking of supporters, if you want to have your say on tonight's action or anything to do with the world of football, you can enter the fan zone via our website, foxsports.com.au/football, of course. Follow the links through to the email section. Send us your opinions and we'll read a few of them out in our post-game show, which follows this game here tonight. All right, let's go down to the touchline and get a different take on tonight's match. Mel McLaughlin is there. Mel.
Thanks, Simon. Lowy, of course, the Victory backline in particular under a lot of pressure from the Jets at the moment. How do you see them readjusting in the second half?
Well, I think they've got to make a readjustment, Mel. They're playing 4 at the back, essentially against Joel Griffiths. Billy Selewski picking up Matt Thompson coming from midfield. So there's obviously going to be a lot of space elsewhere. I don't know if Ernie Merrick maybe might go to a back 3. He did that in the second half last time here, but he's going to have to do something to earn his money here.
Well, Newcastle Jets have, of course, scored for first in the past and gone on to lose it. How do you see them hanging on? Or are they doing it pretty easily?
Well, they're not doing it easily. Melbourne threatened enough towards the end of the half. I think Melbourne have got an opportunity at set pieces. They've got a definite advantage at set pieces with their height factor. There's a fairly strong breeze behind them as well. And I spoke to Mark Jones earlier on, Newcastle's assistant coach, and he told me that they dropped points in 8 games this year in the last 5 minutes. So that's a concern for Newcastle.
We'll see what happens. Speak again at full time. Thanks, Zoe.
Thanks very much, guys. Yeah, just to pick up on that stat, the Jets have conceded an A-League high 11 goals from the 75-minute mark onwards this season, and 14 of the 25 they've conceded this term have come after the 60-minute mark. So, as we alluded to at the start of this game, they do tend to wilt as the game goes on. They need to keep that focus, keep that concentration, the Newcastle Jets. They'll never be in a better position than this, surely, to get all 3 points. Now, Melbourne, perhaps unsurprisingly, are making a change at the start of this second period. Evan Berger is going to be replaced by Matthew Kemp. There's the goal hero for the Jets with 2, and there's confirmation of the change. Kemp for Berger. David Lowe, I should say, suggesting they might go to a back 3, so we'll see if that's what Ernie Merrick does. Full start, take 2. We're underway in the second half at Energy Australia Stadium. The Newcastle Jets leading Melbourne by 2 Matt Thompson goals to 0, but it could have been all so different had Archie Thompson's goal been allowed, as it should have been, in the early part of the game. And that's a good positive start to the second period by Tarek Elridge.
It is a great start. Positive run from Tarek Elridge, and they get a corner straight away. And they have gone to a back 3 with Thwaite tucking in at right centre half. Vargas left with Muscat central, Selewski on the right, and Matthew Kemp on the left-hand side.
Well, Kevin Muscat is obviously taking Ernie Merrick's instructions to get tight on Matt Thompson, literally. Let him have far too much space in the first half. Here's Song's corner towards the near post. There's Mark Milligan's header, I think. Ricky Ward trying to bring it away. Ben Kantarowski, so cool, calm and assured on the ball. Unbelievable to think he's still only 17. In fact, of course, he's still 16. He's not even 17 yet. Makes it even more unbelievable. The most junior of the junior Jets that are coming through the system here in Newcastle.
And quite possibly the most impressive. Very cool and calm and collected. One of those players that always looks like he's got time on the ball, nice and relaxed. Distribution's good, as you see there. Perfect example. He's played in a number of positions for Gary Van Egmond.
A lot of players have to do that, of course, in the A-League due to the salary cap and the limit on squad numbers. I just wonder, Robbie, occasionally whether some of the youngsters were in danger of... We'll come back to that as Matt Thompson crosses the ball in. That's cleared by Thwaite. Whether we're in danger of actually breeding players that are playing in so many positions. They're jack of all trades, but not really master of one.
Well, you can put that down to squad size, I guess. When someone who's versatile in a small squad is, of course, very useful.
Jesic, great ball in again. He's got 2 assists, Marco Jesic, tonight. Joel Griffiths was lurking with intent. Muscat runs into Song. Oh, and Song was caught there by Kemp. The Newcastle bench not happy with that. Fairness to Craig Zetter, he spotted the infringement and allowed play to continue. Now he will have a word with Kemp, who is suitably apologetic.
He just sticks out his right arm. It was good defending after that from Kevin Muscat. Tarek Eldridge trying to come inside him. Gary Van Egmond for once would have had a very positive halftime team talk.
Song's corner. Dapuzzo picks it up. Kantarowski slides it through. Thompson on a hat-trick. Matt Thompson has the hat-trick for the Newcastle Jets. What a night for Matt Thompson.
Well, that is quite incredible. Far too easy, really, to concede like that, Melbourne, but don't take anything away from Matt Thompson. That's another very, very good finish on his left-hand side again. Gary Van Egmond talked about getting goals from elsewhere. Well, he's got them tonight. The corners gets cleared. The ball's going to come back in. Watch the run of Thompson just down the outside. Kevin Muscat's there too late. You see Thwaite there, really flat-footed. Kantarowski with a nice little pass. Theoklitos comes out, and that's a good finish from Matt Thompson. Lets the ball glide past him. First time, lifts it over Theoklitos, and Kevin Muscat was absolutely filthy.
Well, understandably so. Melbourne staring down the barrel at a bit of a tonking here against the league's bottom club. You can't predict anything in the A-League.
Oh, you just can't. It's a tipster's nightmare. Wellington beating the Central Coast earlier on.
Was that an arm that was stuck out by Archie Thompson?
Now thoughts go back to the Telstra Dome in round 3. Newcastle were on the wrong end of a 5-0 hiding. 3-0 here, 50 minutes played.
Broken for Joel Griffiths. Will surely want to get in on the scoring net. That's a dummy by Thompson, and the drive by Ben Kantarowski. Newcastle are flying here.
Oh, they're on fire at the moment. Joel Griffiths that time, and it was great football led by Song, and there was a good connection from Kantarowski. Matthew Kemp.
That's the second one.
Must be very close to a yellow card there. Here's the ball in from Griffiths. Stepped over, I think it was Matt Thompson, and Song was there. A snapshot from Kantarowski. That's the foul from Matthew Kemp.
Here's the free kick from Song. Kevin Muscat with Matt Thompson snapping at his heels.
Well, they can't get out of their own half at the moment, Melbourne.
Well, you said that Gary Van Egmond perhaps had an easy half-time team talk. I just wonder whether his last words were, make sure you don't drop off. Make sure you take the game to Melbourne. First 5 or 10 minutes, don't allow them a sniff.
Well, they've certainly done that.
That's too far by Lopez. Melbourne a bit disjointed at the moment, defensively and offensively.
Now, Lopez hasn't looked comfortable tonight, has he? Operating on that left-hand side, he's more narrow now with a 3-man midfield. It's about hanging on at the moment.
I just wonder whether Ernie Merrick might consider Tom Pondoliak at some stage.
I'd say he'd be thinking of both of them, Fabiano and Pondoliak. Yeah, one who can create goals, Pondoliak, the other one who can score them and create, Fabiano. And that's what they need. They need a goal to get back into this game. They're completely on the back foot at the moment.
No Grant Brebner in midfield, of course, tonight. Has that been a factor, Robbie, do you think, or not?
Well, they've certainly been out-muscled at times in that area. They both had their periods In spite of the 2-0 lead to Newcastle, Melbourne did have times when they dominated in that first half. And certainly when you're down, you need someone gritty in the middle of the park, and Brebner is certainly the player that provides that. Whatever the case, he's not here and won't be there next week either. Three very disappointing road trips for Melbourne victory. Wellington, Perth. They've still got a long way to go here, but 3 down. It's, would you believe it, the bottom club.
Well, Matt Thompson with his first ever hat-trick for the Jets. I'm sure that's impressed the national coach watching as he tries to build his squad for Asian Cup qualifier against Indonesia. Put himself in the coach's thoughts as Hernandez's attempted cross drifts over the bar. He's got to be half a shout, I suppose, against the Indonesians.
He can't do much more, can he? And he's still got a long way to go. I'm just thinking, and Simon, you might say that I should know this, but is that the first hat-trick of the season? Matt Thompson? I'm looking at my stats man.
Come on, Kieran.
Pressure's on there.
You've got your name checked, now you've got to earn your money. We'll get back to you on that one. Here's Tariq Elridge. Touched by Joel Griffiths. Was he fouled?
Yeah, close to one. Came into the back of him there, Roddy Vargas. What a personal performance so far from Matt Thompson. And 3 very, very good strikes. And you think he had a missed header as well in the first half.
Also shows you the paucity of Newcastle Jets' goal tally prior to today. That hat-trick means he's now only 2 behind Joel Griffiths. Race to be the top scorer. It's well done by Mark Milligan as well. From the Bake, I'm sure we'll be watching his performance with interest. A rough 12 months, says Mark Milligan. Much better tonight. Elrich. Sandwich over the top, looking for the onrushing Song. Joel Griffiths. Kantarovski got the shouts that Allsop was approaching. Milligan. There you go. Robbie, that's why you shouldn't big up players. Tariq Elridge has made it into a decent pass. Out by Muscat. Milligan's initial ball was a bit of a shocker, in fairness. Adam Griffiths with a little nutmeg. Newcastle starting to play again.
Yeah, Melbourne can't get close to them at the moment.
Where have they been all season, the Jets? This sort of football. Well, we got confirmation. It's the first hat-trick of the season. So the honour goes to Matt Thompson. An unlikely source, you'd have to say. Well, you can tell that Melbourne are getting frustrated when Kevin Muscat starts with the verbals. Now, Gary Van Egmond is going to be spoken to by Craig Zetter, and in fact he's going to have his name taken for arguing the toss with the official. Craig Zetter telling him that he shouldn't be coming out of his technical zone. And Gary Van Egmond's got to be careful here. He's already served one touchline ban this season. With his team 3 goals to the goods, doesn't really need to be getting involved in discussions with the referee. Thompson with the touch. How different might this game have been had his early goal been allowed to stand. This is Lopez. And again, there's no width until Nicky Ward arrives. Good footwork by Ward. Maybe came off a Jet's arm there, but certainly not intentional. And Matt Thompson. Muscat just did enough. Well read by Adam Griffiths. Now Newcastle got numbers here. 4 against 3 for a moment. There's a bit too much on that, but Joel Griffiths will keep it in play. Support from brother Adam and from Song Jin Hyung, who scores his first goal for Newcastle, and it's 4-0.
Unbelievable stuff from Newcastle. And I thought as the ball broke forward, Song burst through the middle on the counter-attack. I thought he picked the wrong option with Joel Griffiths, but the ball held up on the pass. He had Jesic to his left-hand side. He goes for Griffiths. Look how that ball holds up. Griffiths has the presence of mind, takes one touch. Song had continued his run and has an easy side foot finish. Plays it into Joel Griffiths. Song's continued his run. Kent can't prevent the cross from Griffiths, and he just side foots it past Theoklitos. And 4-0 to Newcastle. He's not offside, Joel Griffiths. Thwaite stood up. Griffiths gets his head up, knows where Song is. Just a simple tap in to the far corner of the net.
Song Jin Hyung's first goal in senior football. His 31st appearance, 15 for FC Seoul in the K-League. On his 16th for Newcastle, he finally breaks his duck. And finally, the goals have started flowing from other sources other than Joel Griffiths for Newcastle. It's been a veritable torrent tonight against the team they just love to play against. Melbourne Victory, and what is going on with the Victory?
Well, they haven't come here for the battle. That's what it appears like. And you see that goal, it was just the ball one. It was just too quick. Adam Griffiths, and that's where it broke to Song, and they were on their way.
Well, this is going to be a long half an hour for Melbourne Victory. Playing for pride. Perhaps for their goal difference too. Now that foot is high by Jose Luis Lopez.
You might get a yellow card here, Nicky Ward. A half volleying that into the net. Zeta calling him over. And here it comes. The whistle had well gone. And it just adds to the frustration.
Ward's first yellow card of the campaign.
And again, it's an intelligent run from Joel Griffiths that creates the goal. Ernie Merrick, not a happy man. But he's so dangerous, Griffiths, when he peels off, and he's so effective in that inside right channel.
Now Thompson, the space here again. This is going to be 5, is it? Over the top by Marko Jesic.
He takes it on the head. May have had time to collect that one on the chest. Beautiful ball for Thompson. He's got 3 goals. He's trying to get an assist here. Might have taken that on the chest and finished. Having taken the choice of heading the ball, he needs to go to the far post. And he didn't head it down either. What a chance to make it 5. And Melbourne are literally all over the shop at the moment.
Including tonight, they've now shipped 9 goals in 3 games. We know that they're travel weary.
They've had some trips, haven't they? Wellington and Perth. And to Newcastle. and the stroke at half-time is really the telling goal in the 4 of them so far. Really knocked the stuffing. You saw them walking off the park at half-time, their heads down. And what they needed to do, quite obviously, is get the next goal. They needed to get one, and they come out here and they just weren't prepared for the battle. And Newcastle now totally dominant.
Here's Dapuzzo making good ground on the left. Jesic hugging the touchline as he's done for most of this game. Provided 2 great centres too. That's a little less so. Now this is the incident, Robbie, that's had Gary Van Egmond so annoyed. Ended in Ben Kantarovski being issued with a yellow card for kicking the ball away from between Kevin Muscat's legs. Now, whilst you're watching a replay of this, there's an incident inside the Melbourne Victory penalty area, which had 1 or 2 of the Jet supporters appealing for the penalty kick. Joel Griffiths robbing possession, and was there contact between he and Michael Theoklitos? Well, Craig Zeta thoroughly disinterested in awarding the penalty. Jesic trying to go around the outsides. It's good work by Nicky Ward. Challenge 2 by Dapuzzo. Confirmation of that yellow card for Ben Kantarovski. This is Song Jin-hyuk. And again, there's space for Matt Thompson. Surely he couldn't get 4 goals tonight. He's held up on this occasion by Thwaite. Now it's Hernandez. Allsop, always willing. Bounced off his arm. Oh, and a great shot and a fantastic finish by Danny Allsop. A real suggestion of handball against the Melbourne striker in the build-up. But Craig Zeta allows the goal to stand, and the Victory have a consolation.
And Newcastle claiming a handball, but it was still a good finish in the end from Danny Allsop. Really, Ante Kovic didn't really move his feet that well. Maybe he was surprised. There's the rebound. It's clearly a handball. And then the strike doesn't have a lot of power. Here he's off balance. The ball comes up, clearly hits his arm. And the bounce is favourable. He hits across the ball. Kovic, I'm not so sure he'll be very happy with his work there. Really, he's going the wrong way, maybe. Doesn't move his feet well enough to be able to get back and get a palm on that shot from Danny Allsop. In the meantime, Pondliak coming on, and Fabiano as well.
Yeah, it's a double change. Selesky and Carlos Hernandez meant to make way. So Melbourne have a goal, rather controversially. Mind you, they were denied a legal goal early doors, so perhaps they'll feel they've earned that one. Still a long way to get back into this game. The Newcastle Jets sequence without a clean sheet now extends to 8 matches.
What about the work from Kantarovski again on the left-hand side there? 16 years old, so calm and posed on the ball. Rarely gives away possession. He was in a hopeless position at that time on the left-hand side and still managed to keep possession. It does remind me, people know him well in these parts, the young Ned Zelic. Great poise, nice technique. Too heavy that from Pondliak for Archie Thompson. In fact, it was Nate Fabiano, sorry.
That's a big rap calling in the new Ned Zelic. Not that you did, technically.
Well, that's what a good journo does, twist the words.
Exactly. I'm happy to do so. This is Podolyak. Plays it back for Kevin Muscat. Well, if Melbourne could steal a second, given Newcastle Jets' fragility in recent weeks.
Well, it would be the comeback of all comebacks. We've already had two from the same team this season. Central Coast Mariners have done it twice. Once in Adelaide and once in Sydney. And that was from 3 goals down, and the squad, well, they haven't had much to cheer about this season, but they have tonight. But whether they make the semi-finals or not with this result, it's certainly going to give them a lot of confidence. It's this sort of form, if they can take it into the Asian Champions League, have a good finish to the season, see what happens, who knows.
Jesic striding forward with confidence. Away from one challenge. And he's upended by Nick Ward for the second, who's already in the book. And Craig Zetter's saying that's your last one.
It wasn't a bad challenge, it's a clumsy challenge. Jesic came inside, he sort of stumbled.
In fact, it was Depuzo.
It was Depuzo. We both got it wrong. Jesic was outside of him. I thought it was the other way around. It does give a chance from the set piece in a decent position. Song's on the ball. He's answered the SOS from his coach in the papers today to get more goals.
Song's free kick, and it was an awkward dipping one, and Theoklitos has spilled it. Adam Griffith sniffing around for the chance. This is Jesic. Melbourne get the throw in front of the squadron.
Free kick from Song, gets it up and over. Theoklitos down to his right-hand side. I think that would have hit the post. Really sloppy work.
Joel Griffiths finding Song. Was that a foul by Vargas? The home faithful wants it, but Craig Setter is not in the mood to give it. Gee, we've had a few talking points out of this game, Robert. Thompson. Now, Podolyak goes to get at the far post. Was he held back? Another talking point.
Mr. Putzo on Tommy Podolyak. He went down. Was he pulled down? To be fair, it's on the referee's assistant side. I think he's got a case.
Well, you come out with the old cliche on occasions such as that, don't you? You've seen them given. Also, we've seen some really good games of football in the A-League of late. And this is another one of them. Also, if you're a Jets fan, of course. Also.
Just got a bit congested for Allsop there. Melbourne enjoying a decent period here. Newcastle will be very dangerous on the counter-attack. Kovic out to get that one in front of Fabiano. It's thrown all his cards on Ernie Merrick. Three-pronged attack. Virtually Fabiano, Thompson and Danny Allsop.
Now, was that a two-footed challenge by Roddy Vargas? Again, Gary Van Egmond is up out of his seat. These referees have got to have eyes in the back of their heads, haven't they? Nay Fabiano. Podolyak to the right. Oh, lovely touch into the path of the Brazilian, and Kovic out smartly.
Oh, good movement. Nice play, and just a little bit too heavy, the return ball from Podolyak.
He's really stretched at the moment.
And Newcastle are going to have a lot of opportunities if they play it right. That wasn't playing it right that time, as Melbourne are throwing lots of bodies forward, as you would expect.
Seen the body language from the Jets coach Gareth Van Egmond, just imploring his players to calm things down. Keep possession, don't panic. He knows that they're fragile, even at 4-1 up. Fabiano. Elrich again with good work. Struck the arm of Thompson. Play on, says Craig Zetter. Nay Fabiano. Very congested in the centre. Muscat trying to go right down the middle.
It's a poor ball for Mark Milligan. He's had a very, very good game in the centre of defence. That's where they need to keep possession. And if they play it smart, they're basically going man on man at the back at times, and there's a lot of space to break down the flanks.
This is Ward. A bad ball in towards the near stick, and Milligan stretched. Kovic kept it in play. Into the final quarter of an hour. Very absorbing night at Energy Australia Stadium. 5 goals, lots of talking points. And there's another one. Free kick taken quickly by Muscat. Beautiful ball too, to pick out Danny Allsop. Lopez, the cry is don't foul from the Jets bench. Kemp. Off the head of Adam Griffiths. Safe hands by Kovic. Look at the space for Matt Thompson here.
It was good work by Jesic there. Great touch there from Song.
Needed to be too. Tries to pick out Joel Griffiths. The Oclatos with a decent fist away. Now Jade North rather has to be careful, watching Danny Allsop come in from behind of him.
Here.
Oh dear, not sure what that pass was. It was by Marko Jesic. Memories of Anthony Denzers from last season for Perth Glory, I think.
It wasn't that bad. It's become very scrappy in the last 5 minutes or so. Both teams going very direct. There's a few tired legs out there. It's been end-to-end stuff. Melbourne, I'm sure, will be looking forward to getting back to the Telstra Dome. 5 out of the last 6 matches are there.
Yep, including the next 3. Sydney, Queensland and Adelaide, all to come at the Dome. Jets, for their part, have got the Mariners here next for trips to Wellington and Adelaide. In fact, just 2 of their last 5 are at home. Gareth Van Egmond's going to make his first change very shortly. Throw on young striker Sean Rooney. is, former Sydney FC man. 9 goals in 9 games in the National Youth League. Well, with a surname like that, why wouldn't you be a goal scorer? Kantarowski just sold his man a bit short there. Melbourne can perhaps break. Matt Thompson quickly closed down. That's what Newcastle have done well tonight. Poor pass though by Adam Griffiths. Likewise by Kevin Muscat.
It's been a rare poor pass from Adam Griffiths. He's been excellent in the middle of the park for Newcastle tonight, along with Kantarowski. Those two sitting in front of their back four.
Good football again by the Jets. Griffiths wanted the ball played early. It's too close to the keeper.
Right idea, but just didn't get the execution right. I've liked his performance as well, Jesic. The 4-2-3-1, he's been on the left-hand side and he's been very disciplined. He's always been an outlet. He's kept his width, hasn't got dragged inside or following the ball. He's always given Newcastle an option. Got himself 2 assists as well.
Yep, he's been terrific.
Although the second one, to be honest, was poor defending by Melbourne.
For the stat-minded amongst you, by the way, the last hat-trick in the Hyundai A-League was Billy Selesky. Round 17 last year. Sydney against Perth Glory. Selesky, of course, playing tonight, or at least he was. Been substituted for Tom Pondoliak. It's been a night to forget for Melbourne, a night to remember for Matt Thompson. There's the travelling blue and white brigade.
Long trip home for them. Well, for Melbourne's season, the destiny really lies with those home fixtures. A season where no one team has shown any sort of consistency. They do have a chance. It's a big bonus to be playing 5 out of 6 at home on the run-in. Foul by Milligan. Milligan trying to shield that ball out. It's a right decision. It's pretty clear, really.
He's just barged him out of the way. Gives Melbourne a free kick in front of the small knot of their supporters, but the 2-man wall stands up to the task. Secondary delivery is met by Thwaite. Here's Roddy Vargas. Muscat. Spotted the run of Jose Luis Lopez. Newcastle trying to counter. Well anticipated by Kemp. Floats one in, free header. Oh, how did he miss that, Nate Fabiano?
Well, he's got to score. Quite simple. Got himself in acres of space in the middle of the 6-yard box, in the centre of goal. You must score. Here's the ball from Kemp. Got his head up, to be fair. Finds him. They just fall asleep a little bit. The Newcastle defence, and that should be 4-2.
That might have just given Melbourne a little glimmer. But it's been wasted. The clock continues to tick down. Less than 7 minutes to go. Allsop. That'll be a corner off Jade North. Melbourne very close to losing 3 games in a row for the first time since year 1 of the A-League. Be a case of home sweet home for Ernie Merrick and his team, I'm sure. Unless they can pull something out of the fire here. Kemp with the corner.
And Matt Thompson defending at the near post.
He'll be taking the match ball home. Take 2 for Kemp.
Well, even with someone on the back post, it was overhit. Looking forward for Melbourne victory. Standing down the barrel of defeat now, surely, with 5.5 minutes or so to go, plus injury. Ernie Merrick has probably a long week ahead of him, and maybe one of the things he needs to decide is the middle of the park and settle on a formation and a structure of how he's going to play it. There's no doubt the quality of the squad. It's fitting those pieces of the jigsaw puzzle into the right places. I have to say that both Hernandez and Lopez have been disappointing tonight. Archie Thompson had a goal, should have stood. Allsop's got a goal.
Well, that will be of more concern to Ernie Merrick, this little injury break. Archie Thompson feeling his knee. I think it's just a bit of cramp for Marko Jesic. That knee has been a bit of a problem for Archie Thompson for the last few weeks, presuming it is his knee.
Well, they need him fit for the run-in. There's no doubt about that. Crucial to Melbourne victory. I'm just wondering whether the three of them played maybe earlier in the season, Fabiano, Allsop and Thompson, particularly playing a lot of games at home, is maybe the good option for Ernie Merrick. I'm sure it's something you look at. Gary Van Egmond still looks as worried as when the game kicked off.
I'm sure Ernie Merrick is bemused as to where a performance like this has come from. Honnoldjak's ball into the middle. It's anticipated by North. Shipping 4 goals to a team who are the lowest scorers in the Hyundai A-League before tonight. They scored just 14 times, the Jets.
Great ball that from Michael Thwaite.
Sure was.
60 metres. Hit it with the laces.
It's a handball too. Against Hanem Deputsa. Free kick taken quickly, and it's into the back of the net off Ney Fabiano, and the deficit is reduced by 1. He should have scored earlier. He has scored now, Ney Fabiano.
Well, they just fell asleep, Newcastle. There was no whistle asked for by Kevin Muscat. He plays the ball in early, and there was 3 players there. It's Fabiano who gets the vital touch, not a clean touch on it, but into the back of the net, 4-2. Great ball in from Kevin Muscat, great awareness. Puts it into that danger area. In fact, it's a little bit of a miss kick, but he's that close, Fabiano, that he can't miss.
2 goals in 2 games for the Brazilian. And Newcastle's propensity to concede late goals has come back to haunt them again. Fortunately for them this time, they have a fairly healthy advantage. Now, Sean Rooney is on for the last few minutes as a replacement for Song Jin Hyuk. Now Danny Allsop in behind. If they concede another one here, there'll be a few nerves starting to fray. Well, at least from Melbourne's point of view, Robbie, they were trailing 4 Splot. They got it back to 4-2. At least the goal difference has been helped. Did I say Splot? I meant Blot. Splot was a region of Cardiff in South Wales where I used to live about 20 years ago.
Good recovery.
Oh dear, I'm getting old. Dying embers of a fascinating night's entertainment. Two teams desperate for points. Newcastle team that's proved to be hungry for goals, particularly him.
As the foul, Michael Thwaite coming in from behind, both arms around Matt Thompson. Maybe that's the only way to stop him tonight.
Can the Jets finish with a flourish? Deep inside the final minutes. Joel Griffiths! Oh, point-blank save by Theoklitos.
That's a great reaction save from Theoklitos. And Joel Griffiths, 4 goals for the Jets tonight. He'll be disappointed he's not on the score sheet. Nice balls, nice and flat. A lot of pace on it from Jesic. And that is a great reaction save. Joel Griffiths would have thought he scored, and look at that. Manages to keep a strong arm up and manages to get it up and over the crossbar.
Into injury time, of which there'll be 3 minutes. Newcastle set fair for a very rare experience. The victory.
Well, one thing they've done tonight, in spite of conceding 2 goals since leading 4-0, they've restored a bit of pride, Newcastle, the defending champions. Not nice. They're sitting on the bottom of the table, and of course for them, they still will remain on the bottom of the table no matter what happens this weekend. So far, they adrift down there.
Just gives them a little glimmer, though. The reality is they'd probably have to win all of their remaining games to get into the fall. It's about building confidence. Allsop's header as the whistles start to come from the squadron and elsewhere around Energy Australia Stadium. They do just love playing against Melbourne, Newcastle. In fact, the last time they scored 4 was against the Victory, round 21, year 2 of the A-League.
And the squadron having a good night. They've got a lot to look forward to, Newcastle. Asian Champions League, talked about it during the commentary. And they have to look what Adelaide United, the experience they've had, to see the possibilities of what can be done.
Well, it's been a tough day, hasn't it, for Kevin Muscat? On and off the park. Kantarowski cut out by Pondolyak. Allsop, who's worked ever so hard for Melbourne today. Rooney bangs into Kevin Muscat. He's a muscular kid, won't mind the physical contest.
I think you said it. A bit of an air of the Rooney about him, hasn't he? Strong, nice feet there. Nice skill, and a welcome to the match from Kevin Muscat. Great victory for Newcastle. Good night for them.
The Jets have just their third win of the season, 2 of them against Melbourne. And the obituaries on their campaign will have to wait just a little longer. They may not make the finals, but at least tonight they have back some of their pride. And what a night too for Matt Thompson. Proof that Archie is not the only Thompson who can deliver goals in the Hyundai A-League. 3 for him, and first ever goal in a Jets jersey for Song Jin Hyung. Enough to give Newcastle all the points despite replies from Alsop and Ney Fabiano. The scoreline reading Newcastle Jets 4, Melbourne Victory 2. Well, 6 goals, plenty of talking points, and after Melbourne had made the stronger start, it was Newcastle who took the lead on the quarter hour through Matt Thompson with that header, and then doubled it on the stroke of the break.
Yeah, Matt Thompson on the way to a hat-trick, the first 2 goals. The second one on the stroke at half-time, come out the second half, and the hat-trick was complete. Nice finish, played in by Kantorowski. Joel Griffiths then turned provider for Song, who coached Gary Van Egmond that asked for a goal. He got one. Danny Alsop pulled one back. Question of a handball. In fact, it was a handball, not seen. And then Newcastle fell asleep for Melbourne victory's second. Fabiano coming in on Kevin Muscat's free kick.
OK, well, there's only one man that we and the squadron want to hear from tonight, and that's the hat-trick hero. Here he is with Mel McLaughlin.
Matt, congratulations on the hat-trick tonight, the first of the season in the A-League. It must have felt pretty good.
Yeah, it's always nice to get one for me, and to get 3 tonight is great, but the 3 points and in front of the home crowd and never listen to that, it's unreal.
Tell us, where did that performance come from, and what does that do for your confidence? Because obviously it's much needed. You haven't won since back here against Melbourne.
Well, we haven't been playing that bad. It just, it's been a bit disappointing the last couple of minutes. It's let us down, and we've spoken about before this week and every other last couple of weeks, and we haven't been playing that bad, and tonight we put it together, and fortunate enough we put 4 past them, which was great.
You're pretty lethal. What have you got to say about the service in? Because we know earlier in the week, Gary Van Egmond was obviously concentrating. He spent a lot of time with you guys, getting those goals in, getting the delivery in. It obviously paid off. Yeah, and it worked tonight. We worked a lot in the week about getting the ball in there. The first session back, we did a lot of crossing for about an hour. So we're pretty tired still after that. But now it's obviously blended into the game tonight. And I have no doubt we'll do some sort of crossing to a next training session. So it worked. That's great. You're not going to worry too much about the negatives, but do you think there was a bit of a case of almost switching off a little bit with those late goals? Yeah, there was, but I guess you could say those games a couple of weeks ago we would have had a 4-4 draw, but the boys tonight put in a massive effort, and we can't wait for next week. Go and enjoy, Matt. You've earned it. Thank you very much. Tough.
Yes, the big local derby to come against the Mariners next for the Jets, and they'll go into that game in good hearts. Fantastic win for them, just their 3rd of the campaign tonight. And the smiles are back at Energy Australia Stadium. We've had our say. If you want to have your say, enter the fan zone via our website, foxsports.com.au/football. Send us your thoughts via email, and we'll read a few of them out in our post-game show, which is coming up next. See you soon. Well, we got 6 of the best tonight at Energy Australia Stadium. 6 goals, including 3 for Matt Thompson. The first hat-trick in the Hyundai A-League this season. The first since Billy Selesky in round 17 last year. There were quality finishes too. A mini fight back by Melbourne towards the end. But really a below-par display by the victory, despite them having an early Archie Thompson goal ruled out for offside, which should never have been. The score summary: Newcastle Jets recording just their 3rd win of the campaign by 4-2. A hat-trick for Matt Thompson, and a debut goal in a Jets jersey for Song Jin Hyung, Danny Alsop and Ney Fabiano with the late consolations for the victory. Wow. It's been an interesting night's entertainment. Yeah, I think we both did.
That was great, wasn't it? Well, of course, Ernie Merrick probably won't
I'm sure
agree with us.
We'll talk to the two coaches, of course, later on in the post-game show. Hopefully hear from some of the players and from you as well with your thoughts on tonight's action. Tough night at the office for Melbourne, but Newcastle Jets, even though they don't move off the foot of the table, they'll take great heart from that performance because they're already, I suppose, now looking towards the campaign in Asia.
Yeah, well, and that's what's important, I think, coming out of tonight's match. And there was also a lot of pride, defending champions sitting bottom of the table. And, OK, the 2 goals take a little bit of gloss off the win, but not that much. And I think tonight they can hold their heads high. I think Gary Van Egmond got his game plan really perfect. I think Jesic, Matt Thompson, of course, with the hat-trick, and Song, the 3 behind Griffiths in that 4-2-3-1, really performed for him. At the back, they had their moments in the first half, and I do really think the crucial moment in the game was that goal from Matt Thompson on the stroke of half-time. It was a defensive mistake from Melbourne, and you saw them as they were walking off at half-time, the Melbourne players really with their heads down, and they didn't recover from that. Came out for the second half. Remember that run from Tarek Elrich in the first seconds as they kicked off? That set the tone. They got another goal from Matt Thompson. Really, it was all over from there. The 2 consolation goals are exactly that, consolations.
Nice segue, talking of consolation goals, because we're going to hear now from one of the Melbourne Victory players who scored one of those goals. Danny Alsop is talking with Mel McLaughlin.
Danny, after that performance, no one would believe that the Jets are at the bottom of the ladder. They certainly saved their best for you guys.
Yeah, it feels like that. At the moment it feels like we can't win a trick. Everyone's putting in 100%, but obviously we're disappointed again, and we go out and expect to win the games. I know the supporters expect us to win all the time, so we're bitterly disappointed.
As we've already mentioned before the game, you have had the week off, but these last 3 losses have come off some pretty tough road trips. Do you think that played a part?
I don't know. I'm not going to make any excuses for losing the game. They scored more goals than us, and that's the way it goes. Obviously, it's been difficult. I think we've had 6 away games out of 8 games, so that's tough. And hopefully, we'll get a few more games at the Telstra and we'll make it a little bit easier for us. But we're going to have to bounce back and regroup yet again.
And why do you think the Victory struggled so much to contain the Jets tonight?
I don't know. I'll have to have a think about it in later time and see where to go. But I thought we played well in patches, and I thought we started off the game as well, and we got caught with a goal, and it's just the way it goes in football sometimes.
Well, you're still well and truly in the mix. You mentioned you've got a couple of games at the Telstra Dome. Most of your season is now at home. That's got to be a relief.
Yeah, it is. I know the boys are looking forward to it, and we've got all these away games out the way, and I know we expect to get a lot more out of them than what we have. So it's going to be a long trip home and a long night of getting over it.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Mel.
Danny Alsop, who at least has a goal to look back on tonight, although there was more than a of handball about it. All right, let's hear from the two coaches. First of all, we're going to speak to Ernie Merrick, who's waiting to speak to us live. Ernie, thanks very much for your time. We know it's always difficult for a losing coach. We do appreciate it. Ernie, let's get this one out of the way early. I'm not asking for a specific comment on what's gone on today in terms of the off-field action, but did the fact that you had to deal with these issues surrounding Kevin Muscat and Grant Brebner in particular impact on your preparations for this match today?
No, not really. I think Grant Brebner was unavailable, and that was the only impact it had. It really came down to Matt Thompson taking goal-scoring chances, and we didn't, and there was good chances at both ends, and that was the difference in the end.
Yeah, and Ernie, the game, I guess, one of the crucial points was Archie Thompson's goal that was disallowed. Clearly from the replays, it was onside. So, I mean, obviously that's disappointing.
I'm sorry you told me that, Robbie, because it's a
that makes you feel worse.
It's absolutely. It just happens so often. I think it's driving all the coaches crazy. We've got quite a few incidents where this tends to happen to us, and it's just so difficult to cope with. But all I can ask of the players is that if we leak goals like that they work for 90 minutes to try and get some pride out of it. And it's great credit to the boys that they worked right to the end, created lots of chances. Fabiano really had a good chance also, and And to work right to the end of the game it made me proud that they tried their very best right to the end.
Ernie, I'm not sure if you're seeing these pictures. We are, and certainly the viewers are, of the Archie Thompson goal. It's clearly onside. You'll get your opportunity, I'm sure, to see it at some stage in the future. I'm asking all the coaches this at the moment. What's your take on the video technology? Are you a yay or a nay man for this helping out the assistants and the referees?
Absolutely, video technology should be used. It's used in every other game, and when a crucial goal is scored, I mean, our games are normally only won by one goal or two goals. Why don't we use the technology? These decisions are, let's face it, the assistant referees are all part-timers, and it's a tough job for them. Let's back it up. But it's teams that are quick, they have quick strikers up front, seem to suffer most of all. If we got off to a good start at the beginning, it would have been a great for us. But we concede one. It's the one player that really caused us most trouble, and we're very disappointed. But it's the end of a horrendous run of 6 away games and 2 home games in the last 8 matches.
Yeah, what do you put that waveform down to, Ernie? It's 3 matches, no points from those, Wellington, Perth, and now Newcastle. Has travel been a factor?
Travel's a factor, but it's an easy excuse also. All I can say is that some of the players didn't cope as well as the others. We've conceded a lot of goals defensively in the last few games. There's a problem there that we have to iron out. We're looking forward to the last 6 games, having 5 of them at home at the Telstra Dome.
Starting with Sydney up next. Ernie, thanks very much for your time. We appreciate it. Safe travels back home.
Thanks, boys.
That's Ernie Merrick, the Melbourne Victory coach, obviously hugely disappointed by his team's 3rd straight loss, which is their worst run since season one of the A-League.
But at least they got 5 out of the last 6 at the Telstra. Right. And I think that is probably the message Ernie Merrick's going to send out to his players. Their destiny now lies with those home games. If they can pick up enough points, the minor premiership's still there. I mean, who could pick it in this season anyway?
That's very true.
It's just everybody's beating everybody, and consistency has been a word that's been left out of the A-League dictionary this season.
Absolutely. I'm sure Ernie Merrick will be concerned to find out how Archie Thompson's knee injury is as well. Of course, he went down towards the end, clutching that left knee. But it was another Thompson who gave him the most trouble today. Matt Thompson. Where on earth, Robbie, did this hat-trick come from today? He was brilliant.
He was brilliant. And look, it's a man-of-the-match performance. You get a hat-trick. The first of the Hyundai A-League season, of course. And, you deserve the ball and the 3 points for the man of the match. And he showed the instincts of a striker in all of his goals. And, he has played a lot at left-back for Newcastle and Gary Van Egmond. But he's played more recently in this forward role behind Griffiths, and it's certainly suiting him. And the finishes, they're great finishes, every single one of them, helped by some sloppy defending from Melbourne, but also some good set-up play from some of his teammates, Kantarovski in particular, and Jesic.
Some of his runs were very Cahill-esque, would you say?
Yeah, they were, and some of his finishing was just as good as Tim Cahill as well. And look, it's a big night for him. It's a big night for Newcastle, and let them enjoy it. They haven't had much joy this season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just their 3rd win of the campaign, as we say, and only their 2nd win at home this season. And this place has been such a fortress for them.
It has in the past.
Recent seasons. So these supporters deserved that victory as much as anybody else.
They did, and you could see the joy that it brought to them. Of course, the squadron was on fire during the whole game. And look, they've got a lot to look forward to. And if they can play like this, I mean, look, I think the semi-finals is probably out of reach. I think it's a little bit too much. Plus, they've only got 2 more games at home, 3 on the road, I think. But they do have the Asian Champions League to look forward to. I know we keep saying it, but it is an absolute fact.
All right, let's speak to the victorious Jets coach, Gary Van Egmond. Gary, thanks very much for your time. You must be absolutely delighted. What do you put this win down to tonight?
I actually think we've been playing some decent football over the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's been a situation where we haven't taken our chances in games, and tonight was a night, obviously, we did take our chances, and the commitment was well and truly high, and we wanted to give those fans some Christmas joy.
Dutchy, well, we'll talk about the goals in a minute. I'm sure Simon might ask something about Matt Thompson and also Song, who you asked to get more goals for you. But what about this boy, 16-year-old Kantarovski? He's another very, very good performance. So comfortable on the ball. How far can this boy go?
Look, you want to try and keep his feet on the ground, but he's got a lot of potential. He got a little bit sloppy probably in the last 10 or 15, but he's very calm on the ball, lovely technique. good physique, good speed, good engines. For someone of 16, the consistency that he has to his game is incredible, and I'm sure there's greener pastures further on. But while he's here, we'll enjoy watching him play.
Dutchie, you asked this week in the media or via the media for goals from elsewhere, not just Joel Griffiths. Excuse me. Tonight you got them. Is that something that you worked specifically on the training ground this week?
Look, we've been working all year on the training ground in regards to trying to get other people other than Joel to score, and it's been well documented that Joel's had time out with injury and suspension as well, so it's been important for other people to stand up, and tonight it was great that Tomo got a hat-trick and Song got on the score sheet, so Joel was in more of an assist role, and it worked well.
Well, Gary, you've got, of course, the Asian Champions League to look forward to, but what about this season? It's a long shot. Of course, you're still at the foot of the table, but a lot of pride back tonight. Could there be a semi-finals push?
Oh, look, we're just going to take it one game at a time, the old cliche, Robbie.
I'm not used to those.
But look, we're in a situation where we've got Central Coast next game. The boys will derive a lot of confidence from this. Some of them we had to teach the winning song to after we finished today, because it hadn't been a while. Millsy, it was his first time that he'd been on a winning team with us, so we'll derive a lot of confidence from this, and they'll be very buoyant, and we'll take that into our next home game.
Dutchie, will let you go and enjoy it. You've waited a while for it, so go and celebrate. Thanks for your time, mate.
Thanks, guys.
That's Gary Van Egmond, the Newcastle Jets coach, celebrating a rare victory. We're off for a quick break. On the other side of it, we'll get the views of David Lowe, and we'll hear some of your views as well. Stay with us. No Holland, no wheelhouse, no problem for Gary Van Egmond or the Newcastle Jets tonight. They put in probably their best shift of the season in demolishing Melbourne Victory, whose 2 late goals really gave them a rather flattering look on the scoreboard. They were flattened tonight, Melbourne, their 3rd straight loss on the bounce, and their season is perhaps hitting a bit of a speed bump. As for Newcastle, well, they've just ended a sequence of 7 games without a win. The other stats, Newcastle actually were behind in terms of possession, but only just. Same stat for time in opposition half. Melbourne just shading it. 12 corners in a very entertaining game. 4 offsides, 28 fouls. And Craig Zeta, on the whole, refereed the match pretty well, just producing 3 yellow cards, although his assistant did miss the early goal by Archie Thompson that shouldn't have been ruled offside. Look at these stats for the attack statistics. Lots of shots on goal, 27 in total, 11 of those on target. Over 50 times the ball entered the penalty area. 6 saves made by the 2 keepers, 2 by Ante Kovic. Michael Theoklitos, the busier of the 2. It was a really interesting and entertaining night for those supporters who turned up to watch it. I'm sure you enjoyed it at home. What about David Lowe? I bet he's got a big smile on his face, being the football writer for the Newcastle Herald. He's talking now with Mel McLaughlin. Mel.
Thanks, Simon. You certainly did pick it, Lowe, and maybe Dutchie was listening to your halftime suggestions, because everything kind of came to fruition just as you said.
Yeah, I think Newcastle earned the victory in the first half. There's no two ways about that, Mel. I mean, a really good performance, important goal right on half-time. They deserved to win their game. They did the work early. Melbourne was strong at the end, as I suggested they might be, with the win behind them, and they had a decent sort of advantage in terms of strength off the bench, Melbourne, so you'd expect them to come home strongly, but Newcastle thoroughly deserved their victory.
Now, we've seen Dutchie speaking post-match, and you and I just spoke to John Tatsumas as well. No one's getting excited. They don't want to dare to dream that there's still a chance.
No, well, I mean, you've realistically got to win 5 out of 5. There's difficult away trips, I think, to Wellington and Perth. These are the times when it comes back to haunt you, the last-minute goal against Adelaide, and a late goal against Sydney here a couple of weeks ago. So Newcastle probably left it a little bit late, but while there's life, there's hope.
That's right. What about Ernie Merrick and the Melbourne Victory? We know they've got plenty of games at home now. What will they do to recover from 3 straight losses on the road? Because they haven't done that in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, Ernie's got a little bit of work to do, although the season that they did win the championship, they came here and lost 4-0 with I think 2 or 3 rounds to go and recovered from that. So I think they've got a little bit of work to do, but positive signs again. Second half they finished reasonably strongly, and they have good depth. So I think with the 5 home games they'll be fine.
Okay, thanks, Lowy. Thanks for your expert comments. Hopefully we'll speak to you again soon at Energy Australia Stadium. Thanks, guys.
And thank you to you as well, Mel McLaughlin, who's with David Lowe. And that just about wraps it up from us from Energy Australia Stadium. A fascinating
day with Kevin Muscat, Grant Brebner, Craig Moore, and a great game of football tonight. So it's been a very, very eventful day.
Absolutely. We've had some cracking games in the A-League of late, and this one was another. The Jets, though, they experienced a rare feeling tonight. They've won. From me, from Robbie, from Mel, from David, from all the Fox Sports football team, it's goodbye for now.